ThunderCats!
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Hey, how are you? I'm Larry Kenny, the voice of Lion-O, here today for my good friends Ryan and David. You may know if you listen to the podcast Radical Retro Rewind.
I love it. All of it.
Radical Retro Rewind.
She even looks older.
Likes my art collection?
Yeah, we've heard that one before, Mummy.
What is it? I heard him shout.
Oh yeah, ThunderCats! Ho!
Who you calling a hoe?
Because I designed it.
Oh man.
The mechanical horse is mine. They're Thundera. I would get the title page, this title page, and what it would list is the characters that they needed designed. And that would be my assignment. Whatever new characters, like here they said new character was Jagara at the bottom of this list. And that's what I would do. This is Ray's Ray Shaughnessy's design for this, for the ThunderCats.
It's amazing. Gorgeous. The head is gorgeous.
And here's the Valley of the Giants.
Oh man.
So all these things are on my YouTube channel. I mean, that's what I wanted to do, is like record all that stuff to say, okay, it's there. So any fans want to really look at it, there it is.
There she is.
That's her original drawing.
I love that.
If you could sort of see this guy.
Oh, yes.
He was going to be one of the light lancers in the Shadow World. This smaller girl drawing here.
Oh,
she was going to be one.
Weapon. Wow.
Yeah. I ended up using her for a sci-fi idea I had that I've never finished, but that's part of my ongoing series called Dime a Dozen Ideas that I started and never finished. And I got roped in by a guy I didn't know but ended up being friends later to join this amateur art contest of the con, Phil Souling's con in New York in I think it was 1970. And I got second place. Jim Steranko was one of the judges. And I got second place with my two characters, Black Wolf and just Black Wolf character. This is one of them. One of the pictures.
Wow, what gorgeous art.
Wow.
So Jim liked it. And 6 months later, when I entered art school, a friend of mine said, you know, he's looking for you. Jim Steranko's looking for you. I said, what are you talking about? He said he tried to find you after the contest and he missed you. And he was coming to another convention. So I went in, I introduced myself, said, yes, I wanted to meet you because I want you to be in a project with me. He had a thing called Talon, a sword and sorcery guy named called Talon. And he was going to make an anthology book with Talon. He said one of my my sword and sorcery character, Black Wolf, to be with him. And also the artist, who very famous artist, Howard Chaykin, a comic book artist. He had a property that was going to be in this book. I ended up doing a 12-page story or 9 or 10-page story of my own that he liked. I have, again, in my Dime a Dozen, I have Black Wolf, the whole history of Black Wolf there. And he has postcards, him saying how much you want my artwork, what we're going to be doing with it. You're really good. But the project never happened. But after a year or so, I got back the art and just moved on with my career. But that was a big, big step for me to have this. Basically, one of the icons and famous people in Marvel Comics say, hey, you're good enough to work with me.
I can't even imagine the feeling that must have been. My goodness.
In the opening of my YouTube channel, I have something that I call, it's a timeline, basically, of everything I did.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, wow.
That's all. That's my intro for my YouTube channel. So it has everything I've done in the time.
So smart.
When I retired, I said, well, what am I doing? I got they could see what I was doing to where I want to do something new, and I'm finding it. I have so many unfinished projects that I'm gonna just dive in and start doing those again. That type of thing. Rankin and Bass, I worked with, of course, and of course they're famous for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, yes.
And I worked on one of their last specials, which it never gets airtime. It's called Santa Baby. Santa Baby, which is based on a jazz tune, old jazz song made famous by I think it was Eartha Kitt.
Santa Baby, yes, Eartha Kitt.
Yes. Okay, starred Gregory Hines, Patti LaBelle, Vanessa Williams, and Eartha Kitt. They were the voices on the show.
Oh, wow.
It's rarely seen. I don't know why people don't put it up, but it's rarely seen. But,
Dennis, I think we always look for classic
This
Christmas
might be something
movies.
we do.
I think in this December
because
we're going to cover this.
This is on our brand. This is our brand.
This is amazing.
After Rankin and Bass, I did a show called Merlin and Dragons. That was a half-hour special show that was on PBS. It was a children's afternoon special. And I was the director on it and storyboarded it and went to Shanghai for 10 days to pass it on to the Chinese production company. So, and it was it was a very low budget thing, but it was voiced with Robert Klein.
Oh, and what a cover too. Oh,
that's the book. And yes, it was Jane Yellen. And this guy, Li Ming, I think he drew this cover. But this is the book that she put out. The other thing is they spelt my name wrong in the credits. In here. Luckily, that's right on the video. I went to the publisher and I made a flip book for the beginning of it. It's on my YouTube channel, if you can see it. What I tried to do was take game videos, trailers and movie trailers.
Yes.
And make them into flip books. But they're like this.
Oh, Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda. And what I took is that in the front of Kung Fu Panda is a prologue, an animated prologue of him. And if I took that whole prologue, it's like 2 minutes or something like that, and made it into a flip book.
Oh, how
cool. And when it starts off like a comic book, so you read it like a comic.
Okay.
In panels. But then it gets to a point where I break it up. Let's see. Still like a comic book, but you break it up into panels like this, and you flip each one. Well, let's see if we can do this. It's on the site, but we can see this. When you flip it, can't do it here. But when you flip it, you get the action. But doing it like this gives me a chance to do longer, like 2 minutes of animation.
That is genius, by the way. The comic part with the flip book, I think that's genius.
And having it in.
Well, I did one that you can. If you go on like I said, I'll always reference my YouTube channel because that's
please.
No,
we want you to. We want people to go there for you.
The most extensive one I did was Superman, from the 40s. Okay. I think it's 6 minutes. The 6 minutes animation, and I did the whole thing in a flip book.
Wow.
So, because of that, I did the first setup because it's a perfect. It was their format was a perfect setup for me because it's like the setup for all their animations for those 40s classics is like they have a setup at the beginning, like the bad guy does something, and then Superman and Lois Lane come on the scene, and then Lois Lane gets in trouble, and Superman has to save her ass.
Yes, that's the formula, right? That's always the formula.
He captured the guy, turns over the police, and at the end, they have a little repartee with Lois. That's the formula. So I was able to do that in a flip book form, where up until the point that the robots attack, it's all flip book form. But then when they Superman jumps into the phone booth and comes out, it goes in the flip book in action. So it worked really well. I'm really proud of it. What I want to do, I actually worked with last year. I mean, I made this 12, 15 years ago, the first one, but just last year they have a 4K version of the animation. The Flesh Studio is like updated. That's so much better than what I use. And I happen to know the guy who sort of is working with Flesher now, used to work with King Features. And he was art director for a job I had with King Features to do designs for the Phantom comic book. But it was not for the comic. It was for merchandise. So I was doing designs for like T-shirt designs, stuff like that. Which I'm gonna probably sell those things pretty soon to get rid of them. But all I had to do was I did the style guide for it. But he's working. I forgot his name right now, but he's working with Flesher. So I'm going to try to contact him and say, hey, is there any way I can get a license to do my flip book? Because it's already done.
Oh, that would be amazing.
All I got to do is swap out the artwork. It's already done. How I got from New York to LA was my friend Ray. We worked on it again. We worked for Galaxy Rangers. And
Galaxy Rangers, yes.
Went to California to work at Universal. Was on something called Sitting Ducks, I think it was called. A little independent thing. But he introduced me. My wife and I got married in '92. We went to Hawaii for our honeymoon. On the way back, we dropped into LA to see friends. And I bought my portfolio, and Ray took me to Universal and showed me to a producer, Will Mineo, who used to work with G.I. Joe and Gem and those animation series. And they were doing this thing called Exo Squad, which was right up my alley. It was guys in battle suits, sci-fi, ships, and the whole bit. And we met, and we got married in September. And Will said, "Well, look, we'd like you to, consider going overseas and be a supervisor for us." I said, yeah.
Wow.
Sure. I went back to New York, and 6 months later, they called me and said, "Yes, will you still like to do that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, what are you paying?" I said, "On the money." I think they offered double what I was expecting. And I just said, okay. My wife and I went first, then my wife came over, and we spent 6 months in Korea working on the first season of Exo Squad. Then when that ended, I went back to New York, and they kept me busy doing some design work for shows that wasn't happening, but just to keep me on the payroll. One of them was they were going to do a follow-up to $6 Million Man, an animated version of $6 Million Man.
No kidding.
Oh, wow.
You can see those again. Go to my YouTube channel.
I love this.
And
that's
you'll
amazing.
see the designs
that's
for
amazing.
that. And they said, "Well, you want to go back overseas again for the second season?" I said, "Not necessarily." They said, "Well, come to LA. We'll give you a job here." And that's how I got to LA. And we worked on the second season of where I got credit as co-producer and director. Also on that, Will was very generous and said, "Okay, every episode that you direct, you get to design the characters on." So I got a whole list of characters that I designed. Curiously, one of them was a cat-like character. It was supposed to be a mutant cat-like character. Most horrible drawing I've ever done.
No kidding.
But because I just came off of ThunderCats, so I was like intimidated. Like I can't make a cat character that's going to be better than ThunderCats.
They are pretty beautiful and amazing.
Oh, thank you. But the irony of it is they made it into a toy. They made my cat character into a toy. What they called one of the Neo Lords, was one of the mutants for the show.
Oh, how cool. Oh, I love this.
One of the two characters. and he looks like, not quite like a ThunderCat, right?
For some reason, Dennis, this packaging looks so familiar to me.
Oh, it's Exo Squad is a very got to be very popular for the toys, well known for the toys. There's some guy, he calls himself the Toy Federation, does videos, and
yes,
another guy who's what's he called, Valiverse. This guy, he does action figures like G.I. Joe action figures, and he really wanted to license Exo Squad because it's well known that the actual toys are very.
Yes.
This is an Exo Squad. They got a little character in here. They got the guy inside. That's JT Marsh.
I mean, it looks like $1 million idea, truly. I mean,
well,
just the idea of the outfit being a vehicle and moving.
Right. But my thing was, I did another the other character was called the Neo Lord, and this is the character. Ooh. And here's the toy.
It must be such a fantastic feeling to see something you designed become a figure and actually a three-dimensional object.
Oh, it is.
It
is. I'm very proud of that. The Neo Lord. I don't get any money for
it. You deserve it. You deserve it. Truly.
I do.
Now, what about Jagara now? Are you getting anything for Jagara?
Oh, no.
Because we pre-ordered her.
Yeah, we both did. We both did. Yeah, we love her. Truly.
Me yet. My phone's open, but you know, the funny thing is, I did part of the show with ThunderCat, Exo Squad. At the end, they have these little, they called them video postcards, or where it'd be like a spotlight on one character, and they never got a spotlight to do the story to do the Neo Lord, but I had done a storyboard for it, and you'll find that on my YouTube channel, where I think I should, with AI animation, which I really don't like, actually, it's super fucking creepy.
Yeah,
I did a story for him, a little segment for him. So, but I'm very proud of that little character. I mean, with the wings and stuff. I was totally surprised. I only saw it in a store after I finished the show.
Oh, you had no idea it was even becoming
I had no idea they were doing that. And
wow.
I just like, what the? It's like, hey, that looks really good. Then I saw the cat figure. It's like, oh, geez, that's bad. Why?
One after the other. Boom, boom.
But there was one other character that's smaller and it's actually the same size as JT in the Exo Squad that I did called Thrax, the pilot for the Neos. That's in his own Exo, only big mech. And I always forgot that I did that.
I like that name.
Again, all that stuff is on my YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I was supposed to go to there was a Comic-Con I went to last year that they were going to go this year, but then he just canceled on me, so I won't be doing that. But I will be doing a local one, hopefully. That's more. I wanted to start just concentrating on my own artwork, you know, instead of
yes,
you know, because it starts. I start feeling. I love talking to you guys, but it starts to feel like I'm chasing ghosts. You know?
Oh, history! It is history,
yeah, it's history, but it's like you can't grab onto it because if I did something, you know, and that's I'm always reluctant because I'm very aware that I don't own all that stuff. You know, I put my name to it and I created it, but I don't own ThunderCats. I have no say in what they're doing with it now, and I really don't want to. You know,
yes,
I have tons of my own ideas and projects that I rather try to finish. You know, like you can see this guy here. That's me. And there's a winged creature on top of him. It's called a Helgon. I did that when I was in my 20s, and he's over here in color, right there. I just made a stamp that I'm going to use him again as my character. But then if you go to some of the gargoyle videos I have, there's 3 I made that said, that was sort of like, before the gargoyles, I was making a gargoyle character. I was drawing a gargoyle character already. And also, we did a Pendragon. King Arthur was part of the Gargoyles series. It's some storyline in the Gargoyle series. Well, I'd already done that.
Right.
And there was another one called Mark of the Panther series episode for Gargoyles. That was Elisa Mazda, the girl in it, meets her mother in Africa, and they have a tale of African folk tale in it where there was Anansi the spider, and it was voiced by LeVar Burton.
Wow.
Okay, cool.
Love his voice acting. Yeah.
In the 80s, I did several 5 or 6 children's film strips, educational film strips about myths and fairy tales, Greek myths, fairy tales, Passover, Tom Thumb, and 2 African stories. And one of them was called King's Drum, and one of the characters was Anansi the spider. So,
wow.
That's to me is, there's so many connections of stuff that I've done that end up either repeating or showing up somewhere else in my career. It's like, it's kind of a nice thing. That type of thing. I can do that. It's a circle.
But it's a great circle. It's a call back to your whole journey leading up to everything.
So these guys, when I'm working on something, I say, no, I did that already, but yeah, let's go do it. Let's see your version. You got to have this.
Oh, that's
we
amazing.
saw that. We saw it when you got up earlier.
Yeah. We were all delighted. We were all like, "Oh."
We were like when you went to go grab something.
It's a sweatshirt I don't wear too often, so I think I put it on the back of that.
Dennis has just been amazing the last few months leading to this episode today. We were thrilled the day that we opened YouTube and saw comments from Dennis. So we feel like this is just a full circle moment for ourselves. So welcome, Dennis. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
I really appreciate you inviting me on. This is they feel the enthusiasm that you and other fans have for the show after all these years is very humbling, really.
And you have been so giving. We want to mention that Dennis's website, by the way, he has an incredible website, but he also has an incredible YouTube, which we will be having in the description box wherever you're listening to this. If you're on YouTube, we'll have the link below. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, it will also be there. But you have a treasure trove, Dennis, that you have been giving fans, and we just thank you for that, first off, because you're sharing history, as we were talking off camera earlier. It's just this history, and we're just so thankful that you're preserving it for fans.
Absolutely. I think it's...
You're welcome. I can point you to... have you read the book Here to Roar?
Yes. Matter of fact... Oh, do we
go.
both... Do we both?
Yes. That is a fantastic book. I was actually surprised because I did as many other the artists like Peter Lawrence and Bob Kemp, and these guys were also involved in the book. I didn't know it was going to be that extensive. I expected a little bit, yeah, sure, fine. It took me, I guess, a year or so after after the book came out to finally buy it, and I started reading through it. I said, "Hey, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that." And he did such a nice. He was so welcoming, and actually, I was in contact with him by email a couple of weeks ago. He was so generous in his praise for the stuff that I had done. Warner Brothers is missing an opportunity. If they don't take this book and just add all the artwork that's floating around that they have and make it into a making of ThunderCats. Like I see my friend Larry Houston has a book that was like the making of X-Men and X-Men 97, which he's being involved in. It's like, why aren't you doing that? The book's already been written. You can add the other stuff if you want the. And I think the book actually goes into like ThunderCats. Roar goes into some of the
the
2011.
You're right, Dennis. It does. I want to say it was an update maybe later on, but
mine doesn't have it, but yours does.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, mine does have Roar in the.
Yeah, mine does not.
Yeah, I think, and so it's like the text is already there. All you got to fill it out with the art, while we're still alive. There were supposed to be 4 panels, and I had that in the video. What I liked about that is that I had some inside jokes there. If you let's see.
Yeah, when we talked about Malkar, we talked about this. They're very funny.
His boom ba was one,
which is genius.
And Cleopatra was the other.
Which is perfect for ThunderCats.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I think I hope if I get off my lazy ass, I would paint those. End up painting those again. Because this made me laugh. I wanted to see those in the show so bad. Because in the script, they actually asked for the 4 panels. There was, Squawk King. Squawk
King.
And it looks like a bird.
Oh my god, gorgeous.
That's super cool.
So I'm really, that was one of my, I kept the one cell with the Malgar panel. It was covered up with him like a more graphic look, but the actual painting of that background is so beautiful. And it's all, of course, done in watercolor. And so that's one of my treasures. That I started with background. I don't have 96 video. So the first show I started was the Totem of Dara.
Yeah, that's 96.
So yeah, I started doing which I think this ended up in one of the toys for Super 7.
Yes. Yeah, all the treasures, almost all the treasures you designed have been made into toys.
Yeah. The little...
Oh, look at Vulture Man.
That one. Oh, this is a generic Thunderian. That was one of my first characters for that, from 96.
Oh my goodness.
Then this was the Swamp Demon.
Oh, man.
And a Tendril. He actually paid me to do this, right?
And you did it amazingly.
I was doing a lot of the props because they were using characters they already had. So a shield and staff, simple things like that.
Were you
Wraith, I guess, was this Wraith was a different one than the other. This is the Wraith.
Mm-hmm.
That was
very different.
Yeah.
When it came to designing props, were you instructed to put ThunderCat symbols on everything?
I think that was sort of a given.
Okay.
It was a sort of a given to put it in there somewhere, So, I mean,
we like to joke about how everything in the ThunderCats world is branded.
Right. Panthro, we always said, is working overtime.
They do the same thing on Superman. I mean, he's probably on his underwear too. Come on, guys.
You're right. You're right.
Why hasn't Superman got a big S on his butt? It's like
the cape, the underwear, everything.
The whole thing.
When you came on, how were you onboarded? Were you presented with old episodes or old materials? How did they get you up to speed on design?
I was called by, like I said, Peter Picallion. He said I was recommended by an artist at the Galaxy Rangers, Ed Lee. It was an excellent storyboard art, character designer. He just wasn't interested in the show. I think he had other things going on. I came on board and they explained to me, what we want you to do is, besides drawing, we see you have your background in production of animation. So I was also charged with, when I wasn't drawing something, was reviewing work pictures that came back from Pack Animation and listing the mistakes. Back then we were working in film, and you got cells that you have. If there was shooting mistakes, that would be my job to write down the barcode of the videotape number, and then pass those off to Lee Donecker, the producer, who decide if it was worth it to have them reshot or not, because it was an expensive thing to do.
I could imagine.
The cells on some scenes, like Well of Doubt, I have one that I save. I really love it because it's Baron Tass is at the Well of Doubt with the two giants behind him. It's actually 6 levels of animation cells. So if you're shooting that scene and it's moving, you're shuffling 6 cell levels every shot. So that means you're putting it down, you're shooting maybe 2 clicks of it, shoot it on twos, as we called. So it's 24 frames a second. You're shooting 12 images. You 1, 2, change, 1, 2, change. But you're changing 6 cells on a peg. Well, that's a lot of work. So you didn't want to go back and reshoot anything if you could help it. But that was my job, was when those things came in. And I was doing that not just for ThunderCats, but I was also doing retakes for Silverhawks and the comic strip and all those shows. That was part of my production side of it. In between, eventually they said, hey, we could you handle some of these design things for us so we won't have to go get freelance guys? I said, sure, I could do that. So, I presented some drawings, and my first drawings got rejected by some of them because they had too much of a sci-fi look from Galaxy Rangers. Okay. So I had to learn to. I did go through the show. I did go through our back episodes, so I could catch up. A lot of it I didn't really retain, but enough of it, because that's how. When I started to, when Peter asked me to write later on, I had to go back and see what happened to Cloudus, and it was never explained. You never showed him that he died. It's just like he left. He was left on. So that opened the door to the fact that he could be grabbed by some bad guy like the Shadow Master and come back. Because like Jaga, you knew died and became the spiritual blah blah blah, floating around haunting you. Like, hey man, what are you doing? That
always watching.
Yeah, always watching. Like, you are creepy. You creep me out. And stay away from Chitara's room. So that I did go through to try to keep what's going on, because some of this actually going back to Shadow Master.
Yes.
My original ideas for Shadow Master was to use a Loro, and it was supposed to be a cape that a Loro would use, or it was the Thunder Kittens found the cape and started fooling around with it and caused mischief with it. That was some of my original thoughts for it, but then they said, "Yeah, get those kids out of here."
Fair.
It sounds like something they would have done, though. Definitely, I could definitely see them.
I always had the idea that Cape was, to me, his Cape was actually the hero of the show, because that's where all the strength, all the powers, and the mysteries is coming from, was his cape. It's like a magician's cape. It's like, instead of a rabbit coming out of your hat, you had a demon coming out of your cape. So that was a part of that. But so I was doing more than just drawing. I wasn't just drawing all the time, because in animation you do have these lulls when you're either there's a lull between when the show is bought, and then you have to have time for artists aren't brought on immediately for any production. It's usually you got to go for writers are coming in to sort of write scripts, and you got to get into a flow where, okay, the writers are finished the script, so now we can bring in the designers and the artists to start working on the designs for it. And in our case, since it's all done overseas at PAC,
Yes.
we weren't doing storyboards there. We didn't do the storyboards in house. It was already being done in a specific animation, and we get the storyboards and make notes on the storyboards. Usually Lee and Peter, and I think I got to make notes later on just to see how things were working out. And then that goes back to them to do the animation, do the designs. And I felt very, actually, I say it quite often, it's like they were such a well-oiled machine by the time I came on. I only had to do rough drawings. They weren't really tightly finished. They were finished enough that they could see what was going on. And I'm very proud that I could see them. They made some of my things much better. Their version of Mumm-ra as Mum-bat is better than my original. Mine was kind of weak, but they really did with the wings of it. They made it much better. Wow. But I was happy when I saw one of my favorite besides Shadow Master is Two Time. His introduction, when he bursts out and he tumbles towards you. I did not imagine that at all. I mean, they just said, hey, make sure he has two heads and, his arms can move so he can be upside down. But the action they did just blew me away. And that's also the scene where the young Thunderian shows up as Tor. He didn't have a name then. He didn't have a name in that show. He was just young Thunderian with a family, where we gave him a name, Tor, in Well of Doubt. And we used it.
Did you coin that name?
Yes, I did.
Great.
And their production, again, Rankin Bass had a different kind of production since the storyboarding and those things weren't in-house. It was a little bit different than what I experienced in California and also before with the Galaxy Rangers, where we were doing storyboards and stuff in-house. And you would have the production of the characters, design of the characters were in-house. The normal way is you have your writing, then you have your directing of, you have to take the script and you have to break it down into characters, props, and layouts. And those are the things you give to the artist. In this case, it was just a single sheet that they gave me saying, okay, we know Pacific Animation's going to do, the backgrounds. We need these props. We can have you, Dennis, you can do these props. And we need one new character. You can draw that character. But we already have the other stuff they already have. You don't have to worry about it. And even for the backgrounds, I did pencil drawings for the backgrounds, but I didn't have to do any color. Pacific Animation did all the color. And there were some backgrounds like the one with the dragons and the background, that one, they did that background. I only had to do the dragons on the pole.
Okay.
And they did the other stuff. So a lot of stuff they handled, where in other productions where I was producer or director or on the team, a lot of that was done in-house. You had a prop design, you had props designed in-house, you had backgrounds designed in-house, layouts, usually a major big scene, like the interior of a room, and then there would be props for stuff that's going to be used. Someone's going to touch it or throw it around. You had that, the vehicles. You had to have how the vehicles worked, how people got in and out of them, stuff like that. And you did all that in house. Then you had someone color it and make color models of them, or color guides. And on those guides usually had a number. Back in those days, it would be, if you know it's going to be painted, you had a certain, we call them cartoon colors, and they had a number on it, a code on it that you would mark off for the characters. And the characters usually only, like now that you can do millions of colors, so it doesn't matter. But then if you look at the characters, it's usually a color, flesh, different.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
flesh number 1, no, flesh number 2, and it would be a shadow. So the shadow had to have a color too, and everything like a jacket or something like that might be one base color and then a shadow color. Keep it simple, and you try not to do too much because someone physically had to paint those things. This is not a point and click operation. So that's what I mean. When you called a mistake or something, if I called a mistake on something, it would take days for them to really reshoot it and then get it, weeks before we get it back, Oh, wow. So we decide there's mistakes in the show. You decide what is worth reshooting and what is not reshooting. And again, that was my job, was to point those things out, and we decide yes or no. And there's a couple of them that you'd be shocked. But I don't know the name, what background it was, but there was a background that came through ThunderCats, and it was a desert background, and it had stalactites in it.
Yes.
And when it came to us, the first drawings, I said, they all look like penises.
Again, something I'm surprised wasn't brought up on his show.
No, but I went to Lee Doneker and I said, I'm sorry, what does these look like to you? And she said, oh, gee, I think we should change this. Yeah, I think we should too. So we had to write them, say, look, don't make them this shape. They said, no, when we paint them, they won't look like that. I said, they're going to look like that no matter what. No, you got to change them. They changed them to make it more like boulders on top of each other. So, like the painted desert type thing. But yeah, that was one. There's 2 times that female genitalia was in the background of the show.
No kidding.
It wasn't ThunderCats. Yes. It was a ThunderCat, but it was in the ceiling, a mumm-ra ceiling. If you looked, I stopped it for one frame, and in a certain light, I said, what?
A little more fine-tuning, and I'll have it.
Another one was...
Mumm-ra's secrets. Now we know what's going on in that tomb. He's painting his ceiling.
In Silverhawks, with Bizarrely's castle, he had a big sort of round window.
Yes.
But the full frame of that window, it looked like female genitalia. And I said, no, it must be my imagination. So I'm in a review room. I froze the frame. And I went to our receptionist and another 2 production people. I said, ladies, please step into my room. Look at that picture.
Something to show you.
Yeah. What does that look like? And they both gasp. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, it's in the show. Because Lee was in Tokyo approving shots, and it got past her.
Wow.
So it was too late.
It was too late. I wrote to her, said, this is, she said, never mind, it's already been passed. Okay.
But we've
Look,
heard
nothing to see here. Nothing to see.
I'm getting very Little Mermaid, the original
Yes, the
VHS
castle.
cover with
Exactly.
the castle.
Exactly.
For this.
But it's animators, it's notorious for doing that. Putting stuff off on the sides to the picture, and so somehow someone sees a full frame and freaks out. What can we say? We get bored. So, well, it happens intentionally because I worked on Stripperella.
Oh yes, I remember that being a huge launching thing for that network.
Lee's Stripperella. I worked on the second season of that, and that was in. It was late. It was on late at night. I forgot what cartoon, not Cartoon Network, or something else.
Was it Spike Network or something like that? It was
yes.
like a
oh my God.
Man's
Yes,
Network
Spike,
or something.
Oh my God.
Spike TV or something.
Spike TV. You're right.
Yes.
Stripperella. So it was the second season of this with Pamela Anderson.
Pam Anderson. Yep.
There you go.
There she is. Yes.
Funny thing is, a lot of times she didn't do the voices. She was off somewhere. Somebody else had to do her voice.
That is hysterical. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I actually did one because I was storyboard artist, and the way they had the story structured is there was an opening scene sometimes, like a stinger, would be like almost it's separate from the story. And I did a great one for one of them, and I did a story comparison video that I put on YouTube, and it got flagged. It got flagged for music. It got flagged for music, so I couldn't keep it up. But I still have it, and someday I'm going to find a way of putting it back up there. Either I have to make a slideshow of it without the music, whatever. But in that show, they were always pushing the envelope, really pushed the envelope. To one point, I had to walk into a director. I wasn't a director on it. I was just a storyboard artist. But they had a black stripper character, and there was a model sheet of her on her stripper pole with her baby on her tit.
Oh no!
And I said, you can't do that.
Goodness! Yeah.
I don't think you want to go there.
Yeah.
They asked me, it's like, were you going to quit over this? I said, no, I'm not. I'm close to it, but no, you don't want to do that. And they took the shot out. They took the shot out because it was just like way over the top. But there were other things like that. We had one sequence that's actually very funny. A friend of mine did the storyboard of it, and I can only. The shot was Stripperella had this. Her boss was very inappropriate. Her boss was inappropriate, and he had a meeting with her when he's in the steam room. Oh. And the camera was basically under his towel as she came in. Because she walks into the room and it's like, oh, geez, yeah, boss, you called me?
My goodness.
And the guy who did, I won't use his name because I don't want him to be embarrassed by it, but it was a great storyboard. Because he had the camera was, but you see the towel, the edge of the towel's at the top of the frame. And
Oh my god.
So yeah,
I still can't get over mumm-ra's ceiling.
Yeah.
Are you
going to be going back?
But again,
one day on a rewatch, I'll see it.
I mean, there's always stuff like that in animation shows. Very faint. Let's see. That's an early Melgar.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see that.
With the goatee.
Yep. This sketch that was the
Light Lancers.
Light Lancer.
Yeah.
This is
That could have been
actually
this whole thing.
I'm back.
This is a sketch. This is a sketch that was for the Light Lancer. Okay.
Oh wow.
This is actually from my desk pad. These are just sketches on my desk pad.
This is amazing.
That's all. It's one of them I kept. It's like, oh yeah, let me just say, little hand. I don't know of any other characters up here. Let's see.
Is the object, the diagonal object, is that the thunderscope? The big thing across the middle?
It might have been, but I don't. I just sometimes just start drawing crap, on my desk. That was sort of it.
I saw. Yeah, it did look like a scope almost. Wow.
Yeah, it does look like a thunderscope, but well, here, that's obviously Mandora in the red.
Yeah.
So that's funny. Matter of fact, Dennis, I read. Correct me if I'm wrong. That Mandora is one of your favorite characters, or at least recurring characters.
I wanted to do, I wanted to do stories with Mandora, but I really, she was on the circus train episode.
Yes.
And I did get to design that guy. But yeah, she was. I just, because I guess because she reminded me more of the sci-fi character from Galaxy Rangers, although she seems like she fit
like
more
sci-fi
into
vibe.
the Silverhawks to me than
I could definitely. Yeah.
And
We're still debating if she's a Cyclops or not.
Yeah,
though.
that's actually one. We've been joking
Never
for
takes
years.
that visor off.
Yeah, under the visor, is she a Cyclops?
That would be very funny. That would be very funny.
It's always just been so amazing to me that so many of those designs came from you. Like came from one person.
Yes.
And it's part of what makes, for me at least, makes the world feel like a real place, because it feels like there's a consistent design language of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
The boiler.
Again, coming on as the last season, a lot of it was established, and part of my learning curve was like, okay, when Peter said, no, that doesn't fit the style, I had to really look and say, okay, what is the style here? I'm not here to change. I'm here to support what's already been done, and that was very important to me. And so I'm really proud when I see Jagara come back and looking exactly like I drew her. I said, I did the right job. Because I'm very much aware of the teamwork that it takes to get a show together, besides the writer and the producers and sound people and recording and the actors. But the art staff, there was like, I wish I could have shook the hand of everyone the artists in Japan who worked on the show. And I did meet one, I wish I knew his name. When I was working on Gargoyles, when I got hired for Gargoyles, my wife and I went to Tokyo because her sister was living there and just had twins. So we were going to visit them and meet the twins. And Disney delayed my start by saying, okay, I said, I can't start on the date you want. I have to go to Tokyo. They said, well, if you're going to Tokyo, could you drop by our Tokyo studio and just introduce yourself as a producer? I said, sure, I could do that. So I did that. And during the tour, one of the artists came to me through a translator and said, I worked on ThunderCats.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I gave him a very respectful bow and thanked him for all his hard work, because they did a lot of hard work on that show. So it was fun.
And the fact that he wanted to meet you and make a point of it it's a beautiful testament of how both mesh, the art from across the world. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was fun. It was a nice highlight of that meet. Well, besides going to a kite festival and pounding mushi. You know what mushi is? It's a gummy sort of holiday thing for them. It was like New Year's. So I'm there making some very, very nice Japanese citizens very nervous as I'm swinging this giant club, as their fingers are, it's like you pound this thing. It's made out of rice, and you sort of pound it to like a taffy type of thing. Okay. But it's like three guys would be pounding it as people are molding it, and they invited me to join in with the ritual. And there I was with this. I'll have to find those pictures and put them up sometime of me. And knowing these guys are like terrified. Hey man, this guy's going to break my hand. He doesn't know what he's doing. It was fun. It was good. It was nice.
How you started writing on ThunderCats? Like, what was that? It's not really a transition because you were continuing to design, but you had ideas for stories. How did you get them in front of Peter? How did that start?
I did not think of writing for ThunderCats at all. That wasn't a plan. But specifically, I think I was reviewing storyboards. And Peter, they asked me, because they knew I did storyboards, to help review some of the storyboard. And I think it was a storyboard for a Tiger Sharks storyboard. I remember doing some notes for it, and I found a plot hole that I pointed out to Peter. I remember that specifically, so it might have been other. And he just says, "Would you ever like to try to write a story?" And I said, "Well, sure, why not?" Because I wrote my own. I do have my own little ideas and stories I've been writing. Like I said, this sword and sorcery character. I have my 13 episodes or 13 issues, basically stories, outlines that I'll never get to. But I said, sure, why not? And I started giving us some ideas. I start giving them pitches for Shadow Master. Like I said, it was first of all, it was the Thunder Kittens finding the robe, and then there was a Loro. But then I hooked on the idea of, Lionel's father being trapped by the Shadow Master, and going and finding the the Light Lancers, the whole alternate ThunderCats. And Peter read that, and it was like 80 pages. For 20. He said, "No, you got enough here for like 5 episodes or so. We're not doing that. You got to cut this down to bare minimum." And so I came in with he took his notes and got it down to an acceptable story. And the same thing with the Well of Doubt. It's just that he said, "Well, you want to do another one?" Okay. I can figure out another idea for that. And I just had it. Well of Doubt, again, the genesis of that was, you remember the terracotta warriors in China. Somehow that stuck in my mind. I wanted to use that for a story. So that's what I used to sort of get to the conflict there. The fact that they were made of clay and they're going to be destroyed by water. So you always, if you're a writer, you always figure out how it's going to end. I think so.
Yes.
So everything else was just leading up to how that was going to happen. And the idea, but it couldn't be just about them. It had to be about the actual characters. I had to have some jeopardy for Lion-O and whatever. So I came up with the well water type of thing, being a confidence thing. But the other aspects of the story, to me, once you get into it, and I know you guys are going to go through it scene by scene and pick the meat from the bone and just whatever. I can go into other aspects of it when we get to that. Yeah, it's just that he asked me. Simple as that. They said, "You want to do it? We only got 5 more shows." I did show 125 and I did show 129. He said, "Why not? Just do it."
Was there, because the series was wrapping up, did you feel pressure to deliver a particular kind of story? Well of Doubt sticks out in my brain as a favorite of mine, specifically because of where it falls in the series and thematically sort of what it does. But I wondered, did you feel pressure at the end of the show to deliver something?
No, because I got to look at the unemployment line after that, so it wasn't exactly pressure. It's like, let me get one more check out of these people before I got to go hit the streets. No. I wasn't that far thinking. It was just I wanted to write a good show. I'm not a good writer. I can't spell for crap, and I just wanted to get through writing that 20 minutes, of a show, and I'm proud of the way it came out. I mean, there are aspects of it that I look back on and said, "Did I really put that in there? That's kind of heavy." What was I thinking? But there's also a lot of help from Peter and Lee. In fact, I was looking at some of the notes. This is notes from Lee Doniker and Peter. And you can see a lot of things are scribbled out.
Sort of a crash course in screenwriting, I suppose.
Yeah. No, they were, and I was I'm always indebted to Peter and Lee for giving me that opportunity. They were the only things I ever wrote, those 2 shows, for animation.
Dennis did mention right before this the original plot line, right, with the rock giants, and I thought it was fascinating. A matter of fact, I want to say it's mentioned in the David Crichton Hear the Roar book. This aspect of Wily Kit getting this headdress, which
yes, that was one of my other ideas for it. It was Wily Kit gets chased into a cave, and was he chased in the cave by either lunatics or mutants? I think it was the lunatics by then, because they came after the mutants. And she's in this cave, and it's dark and it's cloudy. But as he's trying to get out, a rock falls from this cave ceiling, and as a sunbeam comes out, and she happens to find this crown, and she puts the crown on. The sun hits it, activates it, and lights up the whole room, hitting all these rock giants. And they come alive and they step and kneel before her and say, "Command us, my queen." So they think she's this princess or something from the old world. So they break her out of the cave, and they start rampaging the countryside with her as a leader. So and I think it ended up is that the only way she got out of it is like she led them into a river and they all dissolved.
That plot alone could have been a whole separate episode that I think would have been amazing, because letting Wily Kit shine. I'm glad she does appear in this episode still. She does make an appearance. But that's another character that, you know, she was a strong female character. So seeing her in that position would have been great, just for the character alone.
Actually, along those lines, I did have another story that I pitched to them, but they poo-pooed it. Wily Kit and Wily Cat. And the well was a wishing well. And they kept getting harangued by Lion-O and one of the other ThunderCats about not being responsible, not doing this, you know, and they, you know, the Wily Kit and Wily Cat were at this wishing well, didn't know it was a wishing well, but they said, "I wish I was an adult so I wouldn't have to deal with this." And I wish, I wish those guys were kids so they can see what they're putting us through. And they switched places. It was like that Friday, that movie that where the parents switched.
The Freaky Friday, right? Yes.
Freaky Friday. It was like a Freaky Friday plot. So that was an idea I had thrown out. It's like they would show that, you know, so both sides would get to see that, hey, you know, we have your place as a family. Adults have certain responsibility, and kids have certainly, you know, they would learn from that experience. So a Freaky Friday experience. They said, no, that's just too complicated, and we don't want to, you know, you didn't want to center on the kids that much. So that got killed. Is this the last script? Yeah, this is one that before it got cleaned up. So some of that was, you know, in discussion of what they wanted, you know. But as what came out, he said Peter's notes. See, I save things. I'm a pack rat.
I'm glad you do, though.
I love that.
This is my favorite thing.
He says, some thoughts on Baron Tass. He should have a very colorful and outspoken. He should be a very colorful and outspoken character. He's powerful, greedy, and scheming. His outfit should suggest a touch of sorcerer in him to help justify his magical knowledge and powers. To support, let's see. Yeah, he went on to say, Baron Tass could have a shriveling sidekick, a la Yes Man, to whom he can confide his plans and discoveries. This could be Tess' personal tax collector, names Welcher or Grubber. When he has who's exploiting land baron, he is fanatical Beetlejuice type of slime ball. Like a good tax collector, he has money bags attached to his belt and ready abacus or calculator for quick figuring. So that was Peter's suggestion to have a Mr. Grubber.
I love that. Actually, that's what I wrote. Mr. Grubber, bookkeeper and sniveling loser. that's my notes.
That shot of Mr. Grubber.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there's the background. Yeah.
The background is one of my favorite.
Oh, wow. Look how beautiful.
Super cool.
Does look familiar. Wait. That cave. It looks like the one on your old estate.
Exactly. I recognized this land the moment we landed. Come, Mr. Grubber.
It's things like that, Dennis, that gives this planet just
life
and history.
Really.
Like, life is perfect. History and And I just love. I'm a fan of
Well,
ruins
we talked about
and
this
things
again.
like that.
I always go off on tangent, but this is what gives not only gives it visual interest, but also ties in all the imagination that we have, like this fantasy. Like when we talked about like Third Earth with mumm-ra with the pyramid, how that kind of ties into all this, the Egyptian theme, and how it kind of makes your mind wander. Like all these different little nuances of kind of these little touches of all these different societies that kind of just sprinkle in there. It just expands your mind and kind of makes your imagination kind of run wild. That's again part of that storytelling, and it's just what works.
Yes, it works. It definitely works.
It's still running.
Oh, is that the 6th layer cell?
Yes, it is. Wow. And if you,
be careful.
It's just the guys.
Because I could.
Oh, let me do it this way.
So for listeners who's just listening to this, the cell is layered. So
So it's
usually
there's one layer with Grubber. There's one layer with Veritas. Then there's a painted background of the steps, which I think actually was 2 layers, but they put it together for this setup.
Wow.
That's so
And then
it's beautiful.
It's so cool.
There's a layer
of
just
the colors.
just the steam. Just the steam.
Wow.
Then the layers of the giants, and then the final layer painting.
Awaken, my instruments of terror! Awaken to do your master's bidding! Now, come, my silent servants!
How did these setups make their way to you, Dennis?
Oh, in all animation productions, or used to, they would have it in a contract that the company would make with these setups from certain scenes. They would say so many numbers. They might do a couple of hundred of them. And when Rankin and Bass was ending, Lee said, "Hey, would you like some cells? You can go into this pack. You can't take them all, but you can take some." And I took about I think 100, and some I sold to people like you, and I kept. This is my final. I only have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh yeah.
7, maybe, and some minor ones. This I know I sold this one to somebody, but I have at least have a copy of it.
Beautiful
show you
Chikara.
this.
With Jaga.
Oh, and this one is my friend who Ray Shaughnessy designed that, but this is one of the most beautiful backgrounds that I've seen in the show.
That is beautiful.
It's just amazing. It's just a piece of art.
I feel like, oh wow. We've often brought up recently even the background colors and how bright and vivid, and it just shows that on these cells that are still so vivid, even through the camera, you can see how colorful they are. It's amazing, that they're just so beautifully preserved.
Here's a sketch of the giants.
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
Thank you again so much to our amazing guest, Dennis J. Woodyard, for not only his time, for being a part of our childhood and beyond. I mean, till today, he's still, just getting to talk to him. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, truly.